What's going on, Gridiron Nation? I'm your digital host, Cameron Knupp. We are here for the final installment of our Coaches Roundtable. We've got 3 other ones on tap for you on our YouTube channel. It's all a part of our Gridiron Glory Media Day. Here I'm joined with coaches from the newly formed Twin State League, Point Pleasant, Fairland, and Bloom-Carroll. Let's jump right into things, guys. I want to hear about your guys' just your preseason preparation for this season. We'll start over here with Fort Fry. What's kind of, what did you guys really focus on this offseason?
A lot of the focus was on is getting stronger, as well as getting in shape and getting in game shape. So that's one less thing you have to worry about during the season. But a lot of it is getting new kids accustomed to what we're doing. But getting the weight room, really working hard.
Coach McKinney?
We're replacing our offensive line for the most part, and a lot of our linebackers. Our focus has been trying to figure out who those guys are going to be for us.
They say games are won in the trenches, right? We'll go over here to Point Pleasant. What are you guys working on?
We worked on a lot more this year with our communication system with our kids. Last year we kind of got into a situation where we only had one senior playing for us, and we were playing a lot of young kids. So we're coming into this year trying to move them a little farther along where we can do some things in ball games. So we've been putting a lot of time in that here during the preseason.
Coach Shope of Marietta?
We had a bunch of guys coming back from last year, but it was a difficult year. So we made a transition to wing tee last year, and so we're trying to fine-tune the details with mesh points, timing, stuff like that. And so trying to fix the culture a little bit and fine-tune the details.
And Fairland?
We're going to implement a hurry-up offense, fast pace. Our big thing this year was getting the kids used to trying to snap the ball every 13 seconds or so. Getting in shape has been big for us.
I really want to hear about this newly formed Twin State League. Obviously, it's a novelty now in Southeast Ohio. We'll start with Fort Fry. Just kind of tell us, how exciting it is to be playing in a new league. I know you guys come as an independent, so just the excitement level to be competing for a conference championship again.
It's very exciting, just because we'll have the same teams year in and year out to where they're on the schedule. It's really great to get to know an opponent, work every year to beating somebody that it's a lot easier that way. The camaraderie of a league, coaches, get to know each other throughout the things that we do. But it's very exciting for our kids to be able to play for a league championship.
And Coach Shope, I know you probably share in that excitement. How, if at all, does that change your guys' preparations or kind of how the program's going to run here in the next coming years?
It's nice because it gives the kids something to play for, something extra as far as postseason accolades with all conference and then potentially a league championship. And so not only playoffs and each individual game matters, but also winning the league championship.
We'll get into, talking about you guys a little bit. Talk me through, game days obviously I know are very stressful. Talk me through just what a game day entails for you from, maybe when you wake up or going to school, just kind of how does that day go for you? We'll start with Coach McKinney here.
I have 4 young kids, so getting 4 kids ready to get to school at daycare. I teach all day, and then usually once school's out is when we kind of change gears, and I like to lift on Fridays before the game, right after school, and then by about 5 o'clock, our guys are coming in and get ready to go.
Coach Jackson, what does game day look like at Fairland?
A lot of pacing for me, a little bit, but just kind of keep myself busy so I don't get too distraught. But same thing, we do a light lift, and then around 5 o'clock our kids come in to get ready for pregame.
Coach Dars at Point Pleasant, what does game day look like?
Well, for us it's probably a little bit different. We'll do a little video with the kids after school. A lot of times we'll come in and watch a little video. We like to keep them on campus as much as we can. We don't like for them flying around everywhere. And we'll have coaches meetings with the players normally, especially if it's home. We'll do some certain things we do at home, and obviously that we don't do on the road. But for me personally, I'm dealing with all the logistics of making sure everything's in order. We have radios, people coming in, setting up, and we'll have sometimes we're the rivalry game of the week there with WCHS, and we gotta have that all ready to go. So it's quarter by week, but normally we try to stick to a routine that the kids are used to, so they know what to expect on Fridays.
Coach Joe, tell me a little about your routine on game day.
Similar to Coach, I have 3 little kids, so stand by the kids in the morning, and then double, triple check everything, make sure everything's in order, we're ready to roll, and try to stay as occupied as possible, because otherwise you got a lot of pregame jitters. So try to stay as busy as you can throughout the day teaching, and then get ready for the game after school.
Coach Seagraves, I know you're an assistant, but kind of maybe how is that different as opposed to being a head coach for you?
Really, it's not different at all. The way our coaching staff works is that, we work really well as a team. So we're very scripted with what we do during game weeks, and especially on game day. Like the point Coach said, that we're very scripted with having the kids at the school. We don't like them going around all the places. We'll go over game plans, we'll talk, and then you have to do the essentials. Did we pack everything? Did every kid bring everything? All that stuff. Is the camera equipment ready? Everything like that. So it's just a normal thing every coach goes through.
Awesome. We know that culture is such a big part of how football programs are run and contributes a lot to the success of the program. I grew up a big Steeler fan, and so Mike Tomlin is famous for his Tomlin-isms. I'm wondering if any of you guys have, kind of mottos or kind of team mantras that you guys follow, or even just talk about a little bit about the culture of each program. We'll start with Coach McKinney.
Our big thing is about being a family. It's Coach Flex stuff at Minnesota, so forget about me, I love you. So every time we get a break, it's on family. All the way down through 7th grade, so 7th through 12th. Like, the family's our big thing. We make sure on Thursdays we all eat together. So we're fortunate we have about 90 football players. All of our cheerleaders come in, so we're feeding about 120 people every Thursday night, kind of like our family meal there for the week. So everything we do is based upon that camaraderie and trying to come together like that.
And for Fry?
Our culture is based on the E+R=O mentality. Whatever happens, what's your response to any event that you have? That's what's going to make the outcome good or bad for you. So that's one of the things that we preach a lot is, if you live by that, on the field, off the field, things can be good for you if you have that correct response. And we're big on that. We're also big on being conscientious of everybody, having respect for everyone, make sure you do the right things in the classroom, yes sir, no sir. Having respect for teachers, coaches, everything that like. So, that creates a really good culture, we believe. So.
Coach Dars, any mantras that Point Pleasant?
Well, we kind of let our players pick out something every year that we want to kind of put our hat on. This year's it's all in. We've had different ones before, but we kind of build our culture through our off season and our weightlifting programs, and everybody being holding each other accountable. I think we do a really good job of making sure everybody that wants to be a football player is doing what they need to do during the off season. I'm lucky enough to be able to actually do some weightlifting classes during the day, and we're getting those kids handled so they can be multi-sport athletes, and just that culture of everybody's going. We expect people to be held accountable and to work hard in our football program all the time, and and our coaching staff has been that way. I've been blessed to basically have the same coaching staff since my 17 years as the head coach at Point Pleasant, which is fantastic, and that alone just kind of builds the culture of your program, I think.
That's a great answer, Marietta.
So we use the acronym RISE, Resilience, Integrity, Selflessness, and Effort. And so we try to find something that helps the kids both in football and after they graduate as well. So we want our kids to try to be as competitive as they possibly can be on the field, but then want to be productive members of society once they graduate as well. So that's sort of the acronym. We try to do character talks on Thursday night that relate to those acronyms as much as we can and preach that stuff to them.
Coach, what's Fairland's motto?
We're big on family as well. We do the same thing Thursday night. We have a feed team, cheerleaders, family. We have parents come in. I have a speaker every Thursday, talk about life, football, faith, whatever. Just like he said, I want to be successful in the field, but 10 years down the road, I want to be successful then. So that's our goal as coaches, to make them 10 years down the road and they come back and see us that they've done well in life and they've become productive men in society.
We'll switch gears again and talk about you guys personally. You guys don't get to this point with having great people in your life who've kind of showed you the way, whether that was as a player or as a coach. If you guys could give me one or even a couple just got people that have been in your life, it could be a coach, obviously, from the pro ranks or the college ranks, or someone maybe you coached under that really kind of helped you along? We'll start with over here at Point Pleasant this time.
Well, I was lucky enough to play for a legend of Point Pleasant, Steve Safford. Steve played for Bo Schumbeckler at Miami of the High. And so, you know, he was my coach, and then I had the opportunity to coach underneath him for 20 years before I became a head coach at Point Pleasant. So, you know, he's been a big part of my life. And then personally, you know, Scott Burris has 5 rings on his fingers from playing for Ohio State. You know, he played at Point Pleasant, and we all wanted to be Scott Burris, you know, and he was kind of our role model, and everybody wanted to work out with Scott Burris. And, you know, he's kind of been the guy there at Point. So, you know, those are 2 guys that were big influences on me.
Coach Joe?
It was actually probably my dad, who's the principal over at Fort Fry, ironically. But he was a head coach, and as a kid, I remember going and being a ball boy and coaching underneath of him, fortunately enough, when I first got into coaching. And he sort of helped progress me along and taught me the ins and outs of coaching, and it really helped me as a kid in the coaching team.
Sounds like the Fort Fry and Marietta matchup is going to be circled on some calendars. That's going to be a good Friday night. Fairland, we'll go to you.
Easy, my dad, for sure, got no doubt. Just demanded respect and hard work, and that's why I try to, same things he taught me is what I try to instill in my men, so without a doubt, my dad.
Coach McKinney?
Probably the biggest influence was a guy, a coach under named Mike Burkhardt. But I was an assistant for a long time before I was head coach, so I was able to work for 7 different guys, and they all had unique, different ways of doing stuff. So I think for me personally, it's kind of a combination of all that stuff you learn over the years from all the different programs.
And Coach Seagraves?
My dad, but my grandfather a lot. He played football in the Marines. He played football for the Dayton Triangles back in the day, and he's the one who probably instilled the love of the game, you know, in me, and want to instill that in the younger generation. I think that's what helped me out a lot. So.
We'll go back to talking a little bit of football. You know, Bloom-Carroll, I know, has had a guy last year that was a finalist for our Gridiron Glory Player of the Year. It's never too early to start thinking about who's going to win that award this year. If you guys have, you know, nominations that you guys think may take that award this year, or just some players to watch on your team that you know we should be expecting big things from. We'll go to Fort Fry.
We have some returning players that you should keep your eye on. The 2 that came with me today, Clayton Miller and Graham Baker. Those are 2 outstanding young gentlemen, and I think for sure that those 2 players to keep your eye on.
At Bloom-Carroll, who should we be watching for?
The 3 guys we brought today. Jaden Ball, who right now is committed to play at Purdue. Dylan Armstrong, a running back, committed to play at Army. And Broden Bishop, we're right now in the process of figuring out where he's going to go play too.
Awesome. Point Pleasant?
Well, probably Brody Bowen. He's going to be a sophomore running back for me. Last year started for me as a freshman after the 2nd game. Had a big injury to a first-team All-State tailback. He had to take over. So the young man played an exceptional year for a freshman for us, so we got him back as a sophomore. We got Nate Bentz, who was hurt most of the year last year. Probably our best football player last year, but only got to play first couple games. Got him back this year, so I'm pretty high on those 2 kids. And got a kid was offered at Marshall, a big lineman, Colton Weaver. So I got 3 pretty good kids right there.
Marietta?
Yeah, I would say the 2 kids I brought as well, Junior Smith, who was an all-conference, all-district kid last year, and then Zayden Whittikin, who wasn't able to play last year. These are leading tacklers, freshman, sophomore years, back this year for senior year.
How about at Fairland? Who should we be watching for?
3 kids I brought today, Ron Dixon, state champion powerlifter in high. He anchors our defense at the linebacker spot and offensive tackle. Bryson Hunt returned his all-state receiver last year. He knows how to high point the ball. He's excited with the ball in his hands. And then a quarterback, he's a 3-year starter. We expect big things from him. Our offense runs all through him. So all 3 of them should be putting up big numbers this year.
One of the things that this is our 4th roundtable now, and one of the themes I've noticed is a lot of guys have a lot of multi-sport athletes playing on their team. It feels like, especially now at the youth level and the high school level, kids are starting to specialize, you know, earlier and more than ever. I'm curious what your guys' take on, the importance of multi-sport athletes and, how that helps your guys on the football field. We'll start with Point Pleasant.
I'm 100% against a one-sport athlete, and unless that's just a choice the kid makes. I'm a three-sport guy. I think you should do three sports. I mean, two for sure, but we set it up at our school so those kids don't have to make a choice between the weight room and doing a sport. We work it out. I'm blessed that the principal at my high school played football for me, so he understands the culture of what we need to do to keep our athletes. We can't afford at Point Pleasant, and I'm sure these coaches can't afford at their school to have their best athletes just doing one sport. We've been pretty successful, and you look at our wrestling program, and you look at our track program, we were state champions in track. And I was lucky to be the head track coach to do that there the last couple of years. But we push for that type of kid all the time, and we try to make it to where those kids don't have to make that choice between I'm in the weight room. So I rarely do weightlifting after school with our varsity. Most of those guys get done during the day. We take our younger kids and just a few kids that don't make it because of their schedule that live with me after school. So it's a different setup than what you see in a normal setting where you got a whole weight room full of kids after school. So we kind of do it during the day.
Coach O?
I supported multi-sport athletes as well, obviously. You look at the next level, at the college and the professional level, a lot of those kids played multiple sports. And for us, I recruited our basketball coach to help football this year. So we're on the same page, and it's nice to get the other coaches on the same page with promoting other sports. And so I think that's really, really important for the program.
Fairland?
Same. Biggest thing for me, I just tell them, enjoy high school while you're there. I get in 4 years, play them all. Play everything you get, because sooner or later it's going to come to an end. And I actually have 2 soccer players on the football team, and we have to coexist, because it's at the same time. So I don't make them pick. If you got to be, you go, and we'll work it out. I don't want to make a kid choose one or the other.
I think if 2020 taught us anything too, it's that those 4 years aren't promised either, right? So we'll go over to Fort Fry.
I certainly believe in a multi-sport athlete. It just well rounds a kid. It gives them different experiences. Like he said, in high school, you want to make memories, right? Those are the memories you hold on to for a lifetime. So if you can be a part of something special in a different sport, a different season, that's what makes a kid a kid. So I really believe in that wholeheartedly.
And Bloom-Carroll?
We're in the same boat.
Glad to know we have a consensus.
Yeah, we want our guys to do that as much as they can.
Awesome. One of the questions I wanted to ask you guys too is, especially here in Southeast Ohio, community is such a big thing, and I'm sure across the border in West Virginia, it's the same thing too. Just talk about, how much that community support is, how vital it is to the success of your program. We'll start in Point Pleasant.
Well, it's the lifeline of our football program. I mean, I'm sure for all these guys, we got programs where we got all these ads being put in from all of our community that help support our football program. And then on Friday nights, it's just a fun time at our place. I mean, I gotta tell people all the time, I said, you need to be a football player at Point Pleasant, because what else are you gonna do on a Friday night? There's that town, it shuts down and everybody's at the football game, and it's just a fun time. The kids really enjoy seeing that big crowd. We have a nice stadium there and it fills up, and we get a nice crowd in there, and it's just an exciting time. And our community has really been a big supporter of our program for years, and without everything that they do for us, if you go into everything, it would be detrimental to our program.
Coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's critical. Obviously, you can't run a football program without community support, and so it's critical. And as a Marriott alum, it's pretty neat to see former graduates come back, watch games, support the team, support the players, and I think it's critical to the program.
Fairland?
Same for us. We're a small town, no industry in our town. Everything in our town is a small business, and we hit them up a lot, but they give us the support every year. And without them small businesses, I don't know what our boosters and what our football fund would be able to do, because the biggest employer in our town is probably the school. So, that's how small businesses we are. So, can't thank them enough for what they did for us.
At Bloom-Carroll?
Same idea. Our community is awesome. Last year when we were able to play up in Canton, we sold 4,000 tickets for that game. Every week it's packed. It's like it's the place to be in Bloom-Carroll on Friday nights.
Or Friday?
Yeah, same for us. I mean, our community is everything to us. You know, we love the support that we get from them, you know, the businesses and everybody in the surrounding cities that we have, you know, the Beverleys, the Lowells, the Lower Salems, those are the communities that make our program work. You know, they're the ones that want to put in the time to help our kids be successful. So we're very appreciative and love everything that they've done for us.
That's awesome. You know, we that's probably the biggest, you know, thing for us too, is getting out to be in these communities. That's probably the best part of high school football, in my opinion. I want to talk about football a little more. You know, every team has that game circled on their schedule where they're like, this is going to be the big one. I'm wondering for you guys, obviously you guys want to win every game, but is there one in particular that you circle every year that, you know, that's going to be the big game? We'll go to Point Pleasant.
Gallipolis. I mean,
Short answer.
we played each other for over 100 years of football, and I mean, it's scalpless. I mean, we're obviously going to build rivalries up in this league once we get started. You know, we went ahead and played Fort Fry and Warren Local last year, put them on the schedule, we could work it out. So, you know, we already kind of get an idea. We got Marietta coming on this year, and, you know, I'm sure once we get in there and play a little bit, we used to be in the old SCOL conference over there, and we had rivalry games in that one too. So, but for us right now, it's, you know, Gallipolis and Ripley High School, we've played each other forever. I mean, those two schools have played, we've been lucky to keep those two games. So, you know, they're definitely on our radar.
Who's on Marietta's radar?
So like he said, I'm sure as the league progresses, I'm sure there'll be some rivalries in the league. But I would say Warren would be the school that is our biggest rival one, just because they've been in our conference for a long time and we've played them for a long time. Similar schools, similar size schools, very close and usually competitive games.
Fairland?
Chesapeake's a rival. We're only 5 miles apart. We play week 10, but you know, we want to be the best in the conference and to be the best. Ironton's the one we circle. We got to beat Ironton to be the best. That's who we want to beat the most.
Bloom-Carroll, who you got circled?
For us in our league, it stays Valley, and this is their last year in the conference. But for a long time now, it takes out this is the team to beat the league.
Fort Fry?
We take every put week by week. I like to say that that's what we always do, so the kids don't look ahead. But it's got to be Waterford, you know, right across the bridge there. And you know, we usually play in week 3 this year. We're lucky enough to play in week 10, and that's going to be a good one. So we look forward to that game every year.
We'll talk about expectations next. Obviously, we've got 2 coaches here that made it deep into the playoffs last year. Bloom-Carroll coming up just 1 game short. What for you guys, and we'll go around the table, are the expectations for this year? What is the end goal for each of your teams? We'll go with Fort Fry this time.
Well, I would say the end goal for us, and we always hate to say, you know, have expectations of win this and win that. I think right now for our team, the biggest end goal of the year is A, for every kid to be healthy. That's a big thing. And B, to actually grow and learn and become better football players. I think that in itself is more of a prize than winning a state title. I'm sure all these coaches would agree with that. If your kid gets better every year, that's what you're here. That's what you're in for. So that's really our biggest goal every year, is to make sure our team is, you know, we're playing the way we should at the end of the year. We're getting better.
Bloom-Carroll?
Our goal is to finish what we didn't get to finish last year.
That's got to be a motivational factor, you know, coming up just short last year. How much is that an emphasis going into this year?
We don't talk about it a ton, but I think it's intuitive. I don't think we have to say it out loud. Like, our guys know where they want to be, and we've been pretty fortunate to be pretty successful the last several years. So it's just a matter of finally finishing where we want to be.
At Fairland?
Our goal is week 1 right now, you know, it's Friday, and like Coach said, you got to take it 1 week at a time. But of course, we want to make a deep playoff run, but right now it's just win week 1.
How about Marietta?
So we went to an overnight camp and we sort of laid out short-term and long-term goals. And one thing the kids were pretty unanimous in was trying to make playoffs. And we've made it once in school history in 2002, and so that's our goal to try to get back to this year.
Fort Fry? Or I'm sorry, Point Pleasant.
Well, number one was for us to try to build some depth in our football program. You know, last year, if nothing taught us that we didn't need, we needed depth. And, you know, just reeling with injuries. And the thing that helped us, I guess, from last year's season is that we're back now this year, probably with more depth than we've had in a long time. So, as a coaching staff, it's a goal for us is to have some depth with some kids that are ready to play on Friday night. And then we'll build from that, I guess. We've been a team that's been in the state playoffs 15 straight years until last year. Last year was just didn't happen for us. Is the nucleus there for us to be a better football team than we were a year ago? Yes, it's there. Have we seen it yet? Well, we've only had one scrimmage. So we'll see. We'll see. We're pretty hard. We're the old staff. We're an old coaching staff, so we're going to be on them this week pretty hard. This is our week to drop the hammer down a little bit and get ready for. We're going to play the number 1 single A team in West Virginia, Williamstown, in scrimmage Thursday. So we're going to have to be ready to do that. But I'm hoping to see a better football team. If anything, if we can just be a better team come week 10 this year, I feel pretty good about our team. So if we can do that, I think we'll be okay.
Well, we'll definitely be looking forward to seeing, how all of your teams fare this season. That's all the time we have for this roundtable. Thank you guys so much for your time and your insight. It's truly a pleasure, to get to know you guys as people and to get to know your teams in the upcoming season. Be prepared and remember that week 1 is the 18th of August. Don't miss the Gridiron Glory premiere on August the 18th. Until then, remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.